do. We're trying to say, pay attention to these birds and what they're telling us about what's happening out there, and it's going to make our lives a lot better. It'll make the whole environment better because we'll see things happening to birds and we'll be able to address them before they cause problems for humans or other animals.
Now, there's a lot of issues with people running into birds on the road.
Right.
And what would you say to somebody who has done that and the bird is dead?
Right. So roadkill is a big deal in a lot of ways, and we talk about it. I didn't talk about it today on our tour, but it's something that I mentioned our Vulture Restaurant. Now we're trying to. One of the problems is birds getting hit by cars. How do you fix that? We have to drive. It's a part of the way our society has been built, in some places more than others. So we can't say no more cars. Obviously, in the future, we need to be more aware of how we build roads, where we build them to go around rather than through, if possible. Maybe that will help in the long run. But from the standpoint of an individual and road-killed animals, the first thing is to notice them. So as you're driving, notice the road-killed animal, whether it's an owl or a raccoon or whatever it might be, and understand that it's our fault. We whether I hit it or not, it's our fault. We drive roadkill bad, right? And feel bad about it, right? Mm-hmm. Or at least let it. If you pay attention to it, if you are accountable that it's there and it's not okay, well, then maybe we'll start taking those next steps. What are the next steps? Well, removing roadkill from the highway is one of the things we talk about with our Vulture Restaurant. If every community had a Vulture Restaurant and someone or some group of people participated in helping keep animals that die on the roads from causing other animals to die on the road, that's the big problem. We know animals are going to cross the road. We put a road through a habitat, and the animals that use the pieces on either side have to cross it. That's why deer get hit by
They
cars.
like transitions.
Because they're, right, and they like edges. They like where, the grassy part near the woods. But so in that way, well, maybe we ought to make the roads less edgy around the edge. But that doesn't solve the fact that if we put roads through the middle of a habitat, here's what's going to happen, and they're going to get hit by cars. So breaking the chain is I think the most realistic and achievable sort of move towards a solution. We're never going to not have any animals get hit by cars. That's a pipe dream that won't happen. But if we see it get hit by a car and then take action to make sure it doesn't cause somebody else to get hit by a car. You leave the dead deer by the road, the vultures and the eagles and the hawks come, and the coyotes, and they come and eat that animal by the road,
and now they
get hit by a car, and then you got this nasty chain, and all that really needed to happen was we need to take that dead stuff and put it someplace safe for the scavengers to eat it.
So what do we do?
I would say that if you felt compelled and you had a shovel in your car, shovel it off the road. At least it's off the road then. Best case scenario, you got a spot in your community that is the place where the stuff goes. And there are a few places that have something like this where they move big animals, deer especially, off the road, and they put them at a landfill or in some safe place. And obviously then what's going to happen is the scavengers are going to be attracted to that. They're going to find it, and they're going to eat it there. Here at the center, we work with animal control. Whenever they can, they bring us deer that they pick up off the highway. We put it out in our field here. Nobody's going to get hit by a car in this field. And your Vulture Restaurant in your community, if it were a perfect world, it would be a place away from roads and power lines and places where there weren't dangers. Obviously, we don't want to be feeding them food that's going to make them sick, so we need to make sure there's not contamination. Lead is a big problem, especially around here with deer hunting. Lead shot in deer is toxic to birds, so we've got to be careful of that as well. But when we're talking about this, the one issue is car collision. Right?
Yeah.
And what can we do? Well, move stuff away from the road.
Okay. Here's my next question. Now, handling a bird of prey, whether it's dead or alive, is very illegal without a permit.
Right.
So what do you do with a bird of prey that's been killed? You have to sort of leave it, so do you just shovel it away that's it? Or
it's all pretty hypothetical. So let's say I find, if I found a blue jay, or let's say, blue jay's probably not the best example. Let's say I found yellow-rumped warbler dead by the highway.
Okay.
A little small bird, migratory bird. It is just as illegal for you to touch it and move it and possess it as it would be for you to pick up the red-tailed hawk bald eagle.
Really?
Same law protects the yellow-rumped warbler and 350 other migratory birds in North America, the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. It's illegal to possess a feather from any of them. A lot of people don't know that, and you got a feather collection on them. You're in breach of federal law, technically.
How much could you get fined for?
I don't know what the fines are, but
aren't they pretty hefty?
They can be, and I don't want to quote a number because I don't know, but the idea is that someone can look at your feather collection and you can say, yeah, I found all those on the ground.
Right.
How do they know that?
How do they know that?
Take your word that you didn't shoot them all illegally and pull their feathers out. It's a good law that protects birds, and it protects essentially all birds. There are in North America. There are a few that aren't protected, or that at certain times of year aren't protected hunting seasons for geese and ducks and turkeys and quail and birds like that, and non-native species don't fall into that. So, moving those animals from the road, the question then becomes, so here I am, and I'm picking up the dead barred owl from beside the road. Right? I see it, and it makes me feel bad, and I pull over, and I at least want to move it off the road, or I want to do something with it so it's not just laying there blowing over in the wind, attracting other things to get hit by a car. So I pick it up, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service law enforcement rolls up beside me, and they see me picking up a dead barred owl and moving it off the road. What are they going to do to me? Are they going to arrest me and fine me for illegal possession of barred owl, or are they going to say, okay, this guy's trying to do the right thing? That's not a breach of the law. He didn't kill that bird. He got hit by a car. He's moving it off the road. It's
pretty obvious.
We use that same, I know a fair number of people in Fish and Wildlife Service, and even the most ornery of them, on their worst day, I don't think they're going to fault anyone for doing the right thing.
Okay.
It's that Good Samaritan clause.
Right.
People find a live hawk in their backyard, and we say to them, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get a towel and some gloves. I want you to put the towel over the bird. I want you to put them in a box, and I want you to, if you're willing to, drive halfway here and meet somebody, right? That same Good Samaritan law kind of protects that person. Nobody's going to fault the guy who's got the bird in the car. Now, that being said, I find a hawk in my backyard and I decide I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to take care of him. I'm going to fix him up good. I use that language because you hear that in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And that is illegal, and we are permitted to do what we do with these birds. And so when I say to someone on the phone, yes, meet us here, we're almost kind of bringing them under our permit to get the bird to us.
Gotcha.
It would be very different, and we have this happen where people are reluctant to give a bird to us. I found this owl chick in my yard, and I brought him in my house, and I'm feeding him whatever I have in my freezer, and I say to the person, that is absolutely the wrong thing to do. You're creating a situation where this bird's going to be a human imprint, not going to be able to go back in the wild. You need to bring the bird to us immediately so that we can start doing what we need to do, and they're reluctant for whatever reason, and in that case, that's illegal. And if someone continues to be reluctant, I have contacts in Fish and Wildlife Service who I can call and say, okay, whether or not they do anything about it,
right? Okay,
I'm letting you know that this guy at this phone number has a great horned owl at his house, and he won't give it up to us. And that's illegal.
Okay. So there's a clear line that you cross where you're obviously going to get in trouble for something, or you're just being a good person.
You're doing the right thing, and the bird is on its way to us, and we get permits. If you say to, first of all, you have to have a run-in with the federal agents, which is it's not going to happen. Unless you're doing something else horribly wrong.
Right.
Why would they have any reason to look to you? But it is technically illegal. It's then just a question of if that happens and they find you with the hawk or the eagle, what are you doing with this? Well, I'm driving to Onondaga to meet someone from the Center for Birds. Oh, great. That's what I was going to tell you to do. Thanks for doing that. Okay. I think that's the answer you're going to get from everybody.
From everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we depend on that. We depend on people. The birds that come to our hospital, we don't go pick them all up. We don't have an ambulance. We have a network of volunteers that are willing to help. And, there's spider web all over the state and beyond that help get birds to us. But in a lot of cases, we depend on the guy that finds it in the backyard. We definitely depend on them to tell us. We wouldn't see any of these birds if somebody didn't take the initiative to do something to help.
Right.
At least, most of the time they're doing something that at least they think is the right thing to do, and whether or not it pans out that it's the right thing, we'll tell them. But we can't do it without people getting involved, and it's another kind of great connection between us and our community.
Sure.